Imagine this, you're living your life. You're not chasing anything. You're not even seeking attention. But then he comes. He is charming and caring. He stays. But there's a problem. He is already taken, he has a wife and children and maybe a girlfriend. And yet something in his demeanor pulls you in. Or perhaps something in you reacts to his energy. You didn't start this, but now you're here. And the question remains, what does it truly mean when a man who's married wants you? Let us dive deeper, not with criticism, but with reality. According to Carl Jung, this is not about love. It's not even about you. It's about him and what's unfulfilled inside him. When a man goes for another woman while already in a committed relationship, it's rarely just desire. It's rarely even about the woman herself. It's about his desire to meet what he has lost inside himself. Jung called this the quest of the feminine vitality within a man's mind. It's not just a woman he wants, it's the sensation he thinks she would ignite in him, a sense of energy, unfamiliarity, and something that he once had or never did. And so he projects this desire onto a real individual, onto you, not because of who you are, but because of what you symbolize to him. It's like putting a glass to his own emptiness and believing that your presence would fill it. But here's the reality, you were never meant to carry that burden. Most women blame themselves. They wonder, did I arrange for this? Was I excessively open? Is there anything wrong with me for even responding? Let us be honest, your vitality is not the problem. But it is attractive. And if it triggers something in him, it speaks more about his absence than your presence. Because a man who is complete, a man who is committed, and a man who respects the vows that he made will feel attraction, yes. But he will control it. He will acknowledge it. He will choose not to embark on it. The fact that he came to you doesn't mean you're special. And it doesn't mean you're not. It means he has been split inside himself. And Jung warned us about this split, about the man who lives on the surface but is controlled by everything he refuses to look at. Who smiles in the daytime but is influenced by darkness at night. If you've ever found yourself stuck in this emotional conflict or on the edge of one, you know how challenging it can be. You convince yourself, he must genuinely feel something, or he wouldn't risk it. He has to be frustrated in his relationship. He has to see something in me that nobody else does. But that's the narrative your heart tells itself to smooth the edges of turmoil, since the reality is more brutal. A man could desire connection without being prepared for it. He can desire depth while still living superficially. He could yearn for your light but still dwell in a space full of closed doors. And Jung understood that the unconscious seeks balance. Therefore, if a man feels lost and confused, his mentality will hunt for the opposite to revive him. But if he hasn't done his internal work, he cannot perceive you clearly. He'll perceive a version of you that meets his desire, not your reality. So what does he want from you? Approval. Enigma. The feeling of being alive again. He wants to create the illusion of a second opportunity without facing the reality about the first one. He wants your compassion but not your needs. He wants your brightness but not your boundaries. He wants the way you perceive him, but not the reflection you'd ultimately become. Because make no mistake, the more profound your connection gets, the more he would have to confront who he truly is and then what he has left unresolved. And unless he's finished that work, he will not stay. He can't, not without shattering something, you or him. You weren't meant to be anyone's emotional rehabilitation. You weren't meant to carry what another refused to hold. When he comes to you with phrases like, "I've never felt this before. You're special. She doesn't understand me like you do." These are not always lies, but they're not realities either. They are fantasies, screams from a broken self, seeking to escape accountability and feel wonderful again. But what occurs when that high wears off? When you start to crave more, when you wonder, where is all of this headed, and, what am I to you? That's when the distance starts. That's when the narrative begins to fracture, since for him this wasn't about developing anything. It was about running from something. And Carl Jung warns us, anything that starts in darkness must be brought to the light, or it will ruin both the seeker and the source. And no, it's not your fault. But, yes, you have a decision. You may step back. You may ask the bigger question, why did I allow this to go this far? What in me was attracted to something that I knew wasn't right? Because as much as he is projecting onto you, you could be projecting something onto him. Perhaps you believed he saw the real you. Perhaps you believed you were eventually chosen. Perhaps you thought for once, like you mattered. And that's when it becomes stressful because maybe, just maybe, that's not the man you desired. It's the feeling, the time, the reflection, and the concept that you may be worth pursuing. But here is the reality, you don't need someone else's turmoil to establish your value. You don't need to be wanted in secrecy to know you are sufficient in the open. You don't need fleeting moments to feel appreciated, since your value was never designed to exist in the corners of someone else's life. You are not a detour. You are not an interruption. You are not a pleasure in the middle of someone else's turmoil. You are a mirror, a woman whose presence activates things in other people, but you are not responsible for what they do with that activation. And Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life, and you will be calling it fate. So let him cope with his fate. Let him face his reflection, and let you break free from the burden of what was never yours to carry. But let's be sincere, that's only half of the narrative. Because he can want, but it's you who allows. You who let it stay, even though it was only in your imagination at first. And that's not vulnerability. That's not failure. That's a sign that something inside you has been starving for attention and connection, even if it originated from the wrong places. Carl Jung spoke much about the shadow, not only in other people but also in ourselves. The parts of ourselves we bury, the desires we ignore, and those feelings we label as bad go deep and show up in ways we don't expect. Therefore, if you found yourself dragged into something that doesn't correspond with your values, it's not because you're shattered, it's because something in your shadow said something. Let's name it. Perhaps you've spent all of your life being the nice woman, the one who patiently awaits, who provides, who puts everybody first and herself last. And then this man sees you, wants you. And for a moment, you feel noticeable, chosen, and desired. But, here's the reality, being seen by someone who is unavailable isn't genuine visibility. It's emotional lure. And if you're starving, even crumbs might taste like something delicious. So ask yourself sincerely, what did I anticipate to feel through this connection? Not what you thought he would do, but what you wanted to feel secure and loved, finally, enough. Because that's the foundation. That's the thread leading back to the injury. And until that part of you is recognized, until she is seen and healed, you will constantly find yourself repeating the same emotional cycle in different clothing. Jung believed we are attracted to others not only because of attractiveness but also because they reflect a part of us we have not yet made peace with. So when you are attracted to someone not available, you have to ask, what am I still unavailable to inside myself? Is it your reality? Is it your frustration? Is it your right to be totally chosen? Not hidden, but claimed. Because sometimes being the other woman isn't about romance. It's about self-deception disguised as a relationship. You let yourself be part of a half-truth because you've forgotten how to stand in your complete reality. Let's be sincere, it's not only the man who's confused. You may be too, since there's a part of you that understands that this is not good. This will not go on forever. This will end in sadness or shame or both. And yet, you stayed. Why? Since pain is familiar, since you've mistaken chaos with chemistry. Because in your heart you were scared that no one free would choose you. Therefore, you accepted a person who wasn't. Let it sink in. Not with guilt, but with empathy, since that's how healing starts. Carl Jung once said, people will do anything, regardless of how absurd, to avoid dealing with their own souls. And sometimes we use other individuals as distractions from our own inner void. But here's the good news, awareness transforms everything. The instant you name the pattern, you reduce its grip. The instant you realize why you stayed, you may finally choose to walk away. You don't have to continually compromise yourself just to feel loved by someone who can't really provide.